So Nathan and John, thanks very much for joining us in one of our internal progression opportunities. This is for members at Thrive who are interested in accessing opportunities in sport and learning a little bit more about what Street League can offer. So first of all, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. It's great to have you here. I'll give you the floor.
Cheers, thank you. I'll just share my screen. Not allowing me to share my screen, Hannah.
How are you doing it? Are you clicking on the three dots and then trying to share a PowerPoint?
Yeah, 1 second. Info, colours, video.
Because I usually click on there's a little box just by the microphone and the camera, and it's share content. Will that do it for you?
Yeah, there we go. Thank
Lovely
you.
stuff.
Here we go. There we go.
Brilliant. I can now see your screen.
You still hear me, Hannah? Is that okay?
Absolutely. I can hear and see your screen.
Good. Right, so this is just a little presentation, a little talk about careers in sport with Street League Liverpool. So, little introduction of myself. I'm Nathan Riley. I'm the youth and community coach for Street League Liverpool.
My name's John Matthews. I'm the progressions coordinator for Street League Liverpool.
Okay, so what we just want to have a little talk about is where sport can take you in your career and how we can help you get there as well as an organisation, but also independently as well if you want to go down your own route. So, little personal journey of my own. So as I mentioned, I'm the current youth and community coach for Street League Liverpool. So my passion for sport came from a very young age. I joined my first football team when I was 5. I played all sports through primary school and secondary school in Liverpool, which had a lot of opportunities at the time. Probably got more opportunities nowadays than I had when I was younger, which is excellent because more extracurricular activities are being delivered through schools now as well. It's not just external clubs. Progressing through primary school and secondary school, done my GCSEs, got my maths and English and science, which was the main ones that I wanted to go for, as well as obviously qualification in PE as well. Moving on, I went to sixth form where I got my level 3 in sport and exercise, which allowed me to get the grades to go into university. I went to university Edge Hill, which is based in Ormskirk, which is still Merseyside, or Lancashire technically, I think, but it's still close to the area because there's a lot of opportunities around Liverpool nowadays. I achieved a 2-1 classification, sport, coaching and management, which went over all aspects of sport coaching, sport delivery, sport psychology, as well as managing within sport and externally. So management, such as could be an organisation like Street League, it could be your local shop around the corner, all aspects of management was delivered there. However, my big chance for me came in my 3rd year of university. I got put on a placement with the Liverpool Women's Football Club first team as part of the performance analysis team, this was like a different world to me. I'd never experienced nothing like it. It was brand new. I loved every second of it. I was there for the whole duration of my 3rd year. Came into the completing my degree. They offered me a job with the first team, which I was lucky enough to take up and accept. But obviously, the pathway that I chosen wouldn't have led me to that situation, which I was very lucky enough to get my chance to get to university and progress forward. However, you will notice when it comes to starting your own journey in sport, you will have knockbacks, especially when it comes to coaching. Some teams are funded by organisations, some teams are funded by investors, funding is not always there all the time, but do not let that knock your confidence. If you are released by one club for coaching, do not let that knock your confidence. Keep that confidence high, keep working, and you can move on to another place. There's always loads of opportunities. So, as I mentioned then, the job offer that I did get from Liverpool Football Club did unfortunately fall through because of COVID and the pandemic. They couldn't take no one in to their bubble. So I stayed at my current job, which was a duty manager at a football centre in the area. And then, luckily enough, the current role that I'm in now advertised in August 2021, so I'm relatively new to the organisation. I'm still getting myself settled in. So my current role is to deliver sports qualifications to our young participants, as well as hosting free sport community sessions across Liverpool. This is just to keep young individuals active and keeping them healthy, as well as taking them out of their current environment and putting them in a new one where they get the chance to meet new friends, keep themselves active, as well as increasing that positive mindset as well. So that is my personal journey, briefly, and then I'll move on to John.
Right, so my personal journey, similar to what Nathan was saying before, always dreamt of a career in sport. From a young age, I was always like, I want to be a football player, I want to be a football player. Always want to be that like big dream, wants to that, but I just weren't sure of any other jobs I wanted to do, so I never even thought about them. So I went through all primary school, went through majority of secondary school, not even thinking about it. I did complete my sports qualifications when I was in secondary school, and I did come away with some GCSEs. And when you get to that year 10, year 11 stage, it was one of them where you had to look at your possibilities of looking down different routes. My dad was always had a trade behind him, and it was the information he always provided me. John, you need to get a trade behind you, whether it's plumbing, being an electrician. So I looked at them, and I did. I gave it a go. I travelled, I went over the water, I looked at opportunities, apprenticeships. But it wasn't for me. My dream was to either be in sport, just to be in sport in some capacity, whether it was playing to a good level of football, or if it was coaching or anything in that sort of setting. And it was the thing I always wanted to do. I was playing football to a very good level, but I ended up getting a big injury, slipped 3 discs in my back, which left me stuck. And I was that young person in sixth form that ended up missing majority. Just because of the injury. So I missed majority of my time, and I was stuck with not really anything to do. And I was like, where am I going to go from here? Didn't know what I can do, didn't know where I can go on to next. I thought sport was out of the question. I didn't have any real sports coaching experience in terms of going out there and getting experience in. But I just didn't know what to do, where to go. I went to the job centre one day, just as an opportunity to just go in there. So my back healed, and I went to go and see what was available, what I can go and do, and see if I can get back into the sports. And there was nothing. There was just one table right at the back of the job centre, which was Street League. And this is many years ago. So I joined Street League, and they took it really easy with me. They were like, look, don't force yourself into sports, just do what you can. But it was the hook for me. It was the hook. It was the play football, but gain qualifications, gain your confidence back, and we'll see where we can put you next. So I'd done the 12 weeks with Street League, and I engaged in sports and met new people, and they gave me that drive again to sort of go, I want to go back to sport. I want to go and do something in sports. And they pushed me towards an access course in college. So I'd done the access course, which after completing that, I ended up going to university. Something I never dreamt of. Never even dreamt of going to university. It was something that it was sort of, I wanted to just do coaching. I'll do my coaching courses, or I'll end up playing football. But no, I ended up in university, something I never even dreamt of. I came out of that with a degree in sports development and physical education. And again, the experience you get while at university is amazing. From there, and all the coaching badges I achieved while being a student, I started being a coach for the council. Started doing that for a couple of years. A little bit of part-time work, and then eventually I got a contract with Sale Sharks as a sports tutor, where eventually I was able to work with young people ages 16 right up to 19, people with similar backgrounds to myself who have an interest in sport but don't know where they can go next. And it was, how can I help them on that next step? I worked there for 2 years, and eventually I seen a contract come up with Street League, and I was like, this is going to be an opportunity I can't pass up on. So I had to apply. Luckily enough, I got the job, and I've done a full circle. So that's my story. It's just one of them.
I'm going to
Just don't
interject
really
at this
miss out on
point.
it.
Sorry, I'm going to interject at this point because both of those stories are really interesting, but quite different. So Nathan, you probably be able to give me a view of watching learners through the journey, but obviously, John, you've been through the Street League 12-week program. So what is it about that Street League 12 weeks that changed your view in terms of getting you thinking about access courses, getting you thinking about higher education? What was it in that 12 weeks that really changed your perception?
I think what it was for me, when I was at that age, it was just before I was 19, and I didn't know where I was going to go. And a lot of the courses was, you had to be, the access course, you had to be 19. So I went out to get on there when I was 18, and I was like, I need something to do. My mum was always on my back. John, go and get a job. You need to go and do this. And then when I went to the job centre, that was there. And when I was on that course, they were pushing me. They were telling me, where do you go? What do you want to do? What skills have you got? And they see me interest in sports. So the people who worked here, and it still is to this day, so Nathan does the same thing. When they find an interest, they work on that. They work on your interests, and they try and push you towards that. There's no point pushing someone towards something that they're not interested in. If they have a big interest in something, help them, support them. And that's what we do. That's what they done with me. They pushed me towards the sports. They guided me towards that access course. They put me on the waiting list for it. So the one that started in September when I was 19, I was on the waiting list when I was 18. It was the enjoyment. So the big hook for me, like I mentioned, was the sports. So anyone who's sporty, the fact of being somewhere where you can get support looking for work, you can work on your CV. So these are all skills I'd never even touched on, but I was doing it in the classroom. And then in the afternoon, I knew there was the sports activities that we can take part in, the bit where I really thrive. And then I found out that you were incorporating the two of them together. So we were doing CVs with footballers. So they were giving us like scenarios like, find me a football player worth 40 million that will be interested in joining Liverpool, because they've just released, I think it was Aquilani, from years ago when I was there. Aquilani has been sold, you have 40 million, try and find me a player. And then all of a sudden you're making a CV for someone you don't even know. I remember I think I said Tadic from Southampton at the time. And I was like, oh my God, I've done a CV for a person called Tadic. And then they were like, you've just done a CV. And then you just went to transfer them skills, what you just done, and put it to yourself. And I was like, whoa, it's a whole new world. And they just tailored it down to me. And I was like, right, okay. And then all of a sudden I've got a full-blown CV within 2 weeks, and I've done myself, just from looking at a football point of view. And we've taken that, because we're a brand new team, and we've embedded it now. We're doing the same thing. We find something that interests the young people, and we take the same experience to them.
That's perfect, isn't it? That person-centered approach, finding what you love and running with it. I think that really does make a difference. So thank you for sharing that. Nathan, would you add anything in terms of what you've seen over the 12 weeks and how you really hook young people into engaging?
Yeah, like John touched on then, when he was part of Street League, it was tailored to him. Now, John touched on it briefly then, that's exactly what I do to this day. That's what John does as well. As soon as we get a young person through the door, do an initial assessment with them, see their interests, their goals, where they want to be in 6 months, where they want to be in 12 months. And we set a specific individual plan for that person. So we'll start off with, okay, we'll start off with 3 things that may interest them, for example, and we'll start breaking them down one by one to get the final interest of where exactly they want to take themselves in the next 2, 3, 5 years even maybe. And we push them in that direction, because if an individual is interested in something so much that they're willing to dedicate so much of their time to it, you've got more chance of that job retention, that training retention, progressing further in life. So even though we are a 12-week course, they see it as a 12-week course, in our minds we are sending them somewhere in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. So even though we'll benefit their life in the next 12 months, you also want to make sure after them 12 months, you're going towards where you want to be in 3 years, 5 years. We want to set a plan out for them, really. And I think they see that as well as soon as they walk through the door, because it's so tailor specific to them. Now, there's many organisations that may just do a group interest. So if a majority of a group like sport, they'll go with sport, but there may be 3-4 people in that group that don't like sport. Now, that's what takes us out of that bracket, because everything is individual based. Everyone has their own plan. Everyone has their own ideas. And it's just, that's what we work on.
Lovely. That's really clear. Thank you. I'll let you carry on.
No problem. So here's just some career pathways in sport. So obviously you've got the education route, which I took and John took as well. Now you can go from, obviously you go through secondary school, you get GCSEs, but you can also, quite a lot of people want to progress sport quite late. So you've got the opportunity for, if you don't manage to get your qualifications in, maybe it's sixth form, maybe it's in your secondary school and your GCSEs, college is always there. College is an excellent opportunity for everyone. So in terms of college, they do level 2 and 3s. Obviously your level 4, 5 and 6s are when you go towards university level. So your level 2 and 3s, you have sport coaching, sport nutrition, physiotherapy, development, and actual physical education if you want to go down the PE teacher route. So a lot of people have the stigma of you can't be a PE teacher unless you went all the way through primary, secondary, onto sixth form, straight into university, done your PGCE. That is technically not the case. Granted, that helps you a lot. However, I know someone who was on my course who done physical education, and he was 28 at the time, and he only just got started in sport. So that's what I'm saying. It's never too late to start your career in sport whatsoever. You've also got sports science if you want the anatomy of the body, as well as sports psychology as well. Now, another one is apprenticeships. Apprenticeships are absolutely fantastic if you want to earn whilst you're getting the qualifications as well. So there's a few less apprenticeships out there nowadays compared to what you can get in university. Obviously, this comes down to funding, the fact they've got more outreach. So apprenticeships, you've got the likes of sport coaching and development, which is 2 courses in one. PE, again, you'll probably be based inside the school at this point if you're doing an apprenticeship. So physiotherapy as well, fitness instructing, such as personal training. There's a lot of courses out there for that. And there's also fitness for children as well, if you want to be specific to who you want to deliver your sport to. So a lot of people think sport is just adults and upwards. You can have a career in just delivering to a certain age bracket if you wish, and you can tailor that to yourself. And you've also got sports coordinator if you want a career in the likes of the leisure industry as well. So we know, based out of here in our Field Sport and Community Centre, there's 2 sport coordinators that are full-time, and their job is part coaching and part organisation of sort of after-school clubs, shall we say, just extracurricular activities that they put on, such as gymnastics, trampolining, football, basketball. So there's that aspect of you can coach whilst also being the organisation side of things. Now, finally, I say finally, there's a lot more opportunities. I'm more than happy to go more depth if you want any more information. There's also the Kickstart program. Now, we have access to a Kickstart program at the minute, which is a 6-month placement paid in the sporting sector. Now, the ones that are available at the minute are data researchers, social media, news writer, and video editor. Now, you may look at these and think, they're not really based around sport because it's not coaching. When it comes to sport, there's so many avenues that you can go down. You don't have to be a sports coach, you don't have to be a physiotherapist, you could be a social media coordinator for a football club. You could be a data analyst, like I was going to be at Liverpool Football Club. You can be a news writer, you can be a sport blogger, you can be a video editor. There's so many avenues that you can go down when it comes to sport. You just don't have to be a coach. You don't have to be a PE teacher. There's so many avenues. If you like social media, again, for example, but you also have a love and passion for sport, there's that opportunity there for you to bring both together. So they're just a few. I'm more than happy to go on more information as well. If you need them, I can more than happy to send them over. So going on to who we are, now I'll let John talk over the slides because this is what he delivers.
So predominantly what we're most known for is our academy. So our academy is for 16 to 30-year-olds, and we offer also all kinds of support from employability skills. So looking at your cover letter, looking at your CV, looking at where you want to go and putting that plan in place. We do got all that from week one. We get you that detailed plan from week one. We put steps in, we have regular meetings, and we try and support that individual. Not everyone's the same, everyone comes in at different phases. So some people have already got a CV, but it's always handy to develop that CV. Look at what someone else develops, see what you can take off there, what information you can use, layout, design, absolutely. The words they're using as well. Some of the words that people come out with are like just outstanding. They're putting CVs better together better than what sometimes I can do, and I'm looking at them going, wow, that's an amazing little point that you made. I may start using that myself. You can never stop learning. So we've got people who've come right up to the age of 28, 29 who join our program, and then the very young ones who just finished school at 16 going, where am I going to go next? We support everyone, and they all get included in the sports session, as you can see in the picture with Nathan and a few of our participants in the sports hall. We go through the whole spectrum. We also do interview prep, so even if it's like we do work from 10 till 3, but if people want to stay behind and get that extra support one-to-one, we offer that as well. Whether it's online, whether they stay behind a little bit longer, we support that as well. You get the full experience, and then the other half of the day, we're in the sports hall, we're on the AstroTurf, we're doing fitness classes in the gym, and it's just an opportunity where we give them a little bit of work in the classroom, they put in the work, they get that bit out of it, but then we take them to the sports where you can let themselves relax, get to know each other, and it's the beauty of what sport is. It's the opportunity to get to know people on a different level. So it's not like you're sitting next to someone awkwardly on your first day, where all of a sudden you're in the sports hall, you're playing with them, you're doing netball, you're doing badminton, and all of a sudden you're getting to know the first name, you're getting to know like different types of movements they do when they play sport, you get to know their ability in sport, and you work together, you see a different side to people when they're, well, even in a competitive environment or they're just in a relaxed environment. It depends on the individual. So again, we get different mixes of people who really competitive in sports, and then we get the ones who like to take it a little bit easy, but you get a nice little balance of people in the sports side of it as well. What we do find in our academy as well is the support levels amongst each other in terms of helping them get from week 1 to week 12. As we run a rolling program, the support's always there from the young people. They always help each other on that next step. So there's sometimes where we do interview prep and we pair people up. So they can see what they're working on, how do they answer questions, do they use the STAR principle? Are they using good examples of the questions that they're being asked? And we go through it that way. So that's our academy. The next one we run is the new struggle program. So it's tailored towards 16 to 24-year-olds, and it runs alongside the academy. But those who are able to take part in this, they will get all the same stuff in the academy, but they get additional English and maths and digital skills. So this goes from functional skills level 1, which is all determined from the initial assessment. So if they come in at an entry level 3, we put them up to functional skills level 1. And if they come in at level 1 on the initial assessment, we again upskill them to level 2. All of which is done by our new English and maths tutor, so myself and Nathan do not have to teach English and maths, thankfully. So I have an excellent tutor called Tessa, who even at times is still supporting me and Nathan, which we're thankful for. But yeah, so it's another personality in the classroom. It's another person that supports us, and the different sort of the ability that she has to work with, you can see them getting better each week. And because there's 3 of us in this building, there's always 3 of us, we're able to support people where we can have the academy learners in a different room, we can have them in the sports room, we can take them, while the others who are 16 to 24 doing English and maths can be sat in the room doing whether it is English, whether it is maths, or doing the digital skills. That's about it really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's about it. In terms of Strode as well, you obviously get your professionals in sport qualification and your progression, which is basically a level 1 in the academy that you already had before. It's just taking it a bit more further and going into a bit more depth. Professionals in sport, obviously you've got them 3 qualifications that they'll get a level 1 in. Now is the fitness program development. That's along the lines of fitness instructor, personal trainer type qualification. You've obviously got your sport coaching as well, and the taking part in sport, that's just a qualification, and then, well, it's self-explanatory, taking part in sport. Now, people come to us and they might not have a single qualification that they can put on their CV. So this is just a chance for us, like the employability skills to taking part in sport. They're nice, easy qualifications that allow us to bulk up their CV, to give them that 1, 2, maybe 3 qualifications that they never had before. So that is Strode summed up, and then you've got the skills. Yeah.
Can I just interject at this point, just because there'll be a couple of questions from our learners. So you mentioned the academy programme, the traineeship programme is 12 weeks. With Strode, is there additional engagement in terms of how long the programme runs for?
Yes, so academy is 12 weeks. Strode is a total of 16. 16 weeks for them to achieve the maths and English.
That's great.
That's 16 weeks. The timetable is still the same though.
So there's that additional 4 weeks for them to gain those extra levels of qualification.
Yeah, and then a few extra sport and progression qualifications, yeah. The timetable is still the same. It's still Monday to Thursday, 9:30 till 3. Yeah. 9:30 till 3 p.m. Obviously, the breaks and dinners in between, but the timetable is the same. It's just an extra 4 weeks for them to gain that functional skills in maths and English.
That's great, thank you. And then another question would be, in terms of our learners who are accessing universal credit, so they're claiming universal credit, this wouldn't affect any of that. Learners could come, claiming universal credit, still claim their UC and attend these programmes and get these qualifications to build their CV. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we have a few people who do attend to receiving universal credit. From us, there's a letter from myself or Nathan which specifies how many hours they do and how long the programme runs, and then that's completely fine with universal credit.
That's brilliant, thank you.
Okay, and then we'll skip on to the last one, which is our skills hub that we offer throughout the week, every day that we're in. It's just basically it's a one-to-one support opportunity. This may be tailored towards the individuals in the older bracket of going towards 30 that might not fancy sitting in a room with 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So this is just an opportunity so they don't miss out on that help that we can support them with. This can be done online, it can be done in person. It really is tailored to them and to suit them. This is also an opportunity for individuals who may have kids, may have carer commitments, anything along them lines. It's just so they don't miss out on that support. So that can be based here. We can go to them on home visits, or we can meet them out if they need to, if they're not comfortable coming all the way here, as well as online. And then a big one for us is my street football program that I offer every Thursday, 4 p.m. till 5 p.m. based out of Brexside. This is mainly towards the younger ones from 16 to, I think the oldest is 25.
The
26,
the oldest we have is 25.
25.
It's an opportunity for them to come down and see what we do, get a feeling for what Street League is, and come down and enjoy yourself for the hour. Come speak to Nathan, see what he has to say. Come down and speak to me. And if you want to pull one of us to a side and ask for a little bit of support, it's that opportunity to do so. If you get an interest from that, you can sign up to one of our programs from there. It's about street football.
No, I'd say that's it.
We have been getting a good turnout with street football. It's probably the one that everyone enjoys. So we quite often get people who attend through the week. They do quite often come back in the afternoon. People who do finish a program, they do like still, if available after work or after college, they're always like, oh, I'll try and make it down.
Yeah.
So they do come back. It's the one that we always get a big hit with. It's the one we probably enjoy the most, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's an opportunity where it's the one where everyone can sort of like let the hair down and just be themselves for the whole hour. Come down and enjoy yourself and have a little kick about with some of your mates, really. So yeah.
That sounds like a great opportunity, and I know we've mentioned this to our learners already, and a few of them are very, very keen, so I'll put you in touch with those learners today.
And on to...
Oh, maybe what we should say, sorry, just on all of the previous ones, in terms of what we offer with Street League, is all expenses are paid for.
Yeah.
So if they get the bus, if they get the train, we covered all that. We also support them with food, drink as well. So we make sure that everyone is catered for. So if certain people are not eating enough at home, we do have food here. And the same with the drinks as well. We always like to make sure everyone is looked after. And if they don't want to make a big fuss about it and they want to be quite quiet, we can, again, it's an opportunity where they can pull us to one side and go, look, is it all right if I have an extra, whichever it may be, and we'll support them with that. Also, after 2 weeks of completion as well, they get some of these nice little mic tops with the Street League badge on, and then it has Street League written on the back as well. That's after 2 weeks of completing one of the programs. Unfortunately, the street football don't get one of them ones, but if they join a program, they get one of the free tops. And that's about it, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say just on top of street football as well, we have just entered ourselves our own team. So if they want to be involved in that team-based environment, we've just joined a league called the Merseyside Inclusion League. Now this is people who are in the same bracket as everyone who takes part in our program. It's all people that have needed support with employability, mental health, anything along them lines. It's just everyone's the exact same. So we've joined a league where there's
10 teams, and each team has about 14 to 15 people, and they're all different organisations, from New Start, where they support people into housing, to Liverpool Football Therapy, where they support people with their mental health. So there's all them connections that we have in this league, where if we do have an individual that may need that little bit of extra support, the main contact is there on a Friday night. And we've joined that league for that purpose, where it is, if you need that support, we can point you in the right direction because you're playing them on a Friday night. And then the same, if you're not playing on a Friday night, they'll be standing there watching. So there's always that opportunity. And they just put together a big representative team where they can travel around the UK. So we have Andy and Ramsey. We have two of our players that have been turned up to street football that have now been selected for the representative team, and they're travelling to Belfast in March. They're going to Blackpool the month after, and the month after they're going to London. So really big opportunities for people who never had that opportunity previously. So they may not have been selected in the football team, they may not have been good enough for the football team, to where now they're taking part in sport and they're getting these opportunities through this league, and they're getting to go across the whole UK, up to Scotland, over to Ireland, and they're getting to play football and meet new people again. So it's a little extension on what Nathan does for street football and the opportunities that it comes to offer.
Okay, now I'll jump over to... I just want to put in a few case studies that we've got, just to show you exactly where we've taken some young individuals before. So I'll talk about James, who's on left, and I'll let John take it away with Declan. James started on my skills hub program. So he started street football in August. James took the opportunity to get some CV workshops and cover letters with myself and John during the week of a Wednesday when he finished. I can't remember when he finished. He used to come in, he was in for an hour and a half to 2 hours. We get our heads down, we get thinking, we get a CV cover letter done with him. We also improved his interview techniques as well. And he actually gained successful part-time employment a few weeks in, which was fortunate enough for him. And he actually kept coming to street football, even though he got himself a part-time job. Like John said before, the retention for street football is quite high. People do take a lot of enjoyment from it, and James is one of them. James keeps coming back to this day. I think he's coming later on tonight. So he came to improve his physical and mental health as well. Now, we obviously, in playing with the street football team that I mentioned before, we do get involved in tournaments with the Inclusion League, so all individuals that are in the same bracket. He took part in 3 tournaments for us. And finally, the best news to the last, because James was on our programme, he came to street football, we worked on his sport coaching with him. Now, Street League gets access to quite a lot of sport coaching, sport in general qualifications that we can give you a pathway to. Now, a multi-sport level 2 opportunity came up, and James met the criteria for us to send him onto it. Fortunately enough, James he completed his level 2 multi-sport coaching qualification. And because he gained that, he is now, I think it's next week or the week after, he's been given the opportunity to go to the Caribbean in Cuba to coach to some of the deprived schools out there and deliver some sessions, which is absolutely fantastic for him. But that came from, well, it came from street football, then it went to CV, then it went to part-time employment, then he got a sport qualification, and now he's going on the absolute trip of a lifetime, I think, which I am very jealous about, because I would love to be doing that right now. So that is James summed up. And then, John?
Yeah, I'm just laughing because, yeah, we're both mutually quite jealous of James and the opportunity he's been given. So moving on to Declan. So Declan was on the programme just before Nathan started. Declan was probably the nicest person I've ever met. Very humble, very nice, very easy to get on with. Always turned up, so no matter what time he was starting in the day, he would be there an hour early, an hour and a half early, just because he wanted to get out of the house. He's had a very troubled couple of months, years. He's had it very hard with some personal things that's went on in his life. But he joined Street League, and he's taken part with that. And it was a sense of a routine for him. I know he turned up an hour early, but even that, it was a sense of routine where it was an opportunity for him to meet people, get to know them, but also get to know myself and the other members of staff, Holly, who we work with. And from there, his confidence just sort of grew, and he was a very reserved person at first. Never had a great interest in sport, didn't really want to go down that route, but it was never an issue. When it came to the sport though, it was like seeing a different person. He was always the first one to grab the racket, always the last person to let go of the racket. Sometimes we have to sort of tell him, look, we're finished in here, we're going back to the classroom. But he really did excel during his time with Street League. And it was while he was here, he expressed the interest in going for a Kickstart opportunity with the LFC Foundation, but he didn't know how to go about it, didn't know how to tackle it, where to start. And we sort of just led him on that journey in terms of, right, okay, let's do your CV, let's go through some interview questions, and let's see how we can support you then. Who do you need to get in touch with? How do you get in touch with that person? So some people actually do miss the important bit of how to get in touch with a certain individual. How do you address the email to that person? So it was a case of sitting down and going through all them little steps with him. And then now he's one of our very much success stories that we can't share enough, because it's more so for the journey he's been on in terms of being homeless at one point to then being able to come here and then sort out certain other issues at home, certain other issues while he's living independently, and just every barrier he's had to face, he's just going through it now. And it's just nice to see him, and we always get a little update from him like how's he getting on, what challenges has he overcome now, and it's just a really nice story to sort of have. So we seen him last week, and he comes in with like some of the best stories where it's like he always had an issue with some of the dental treatment, and he's came with a brand new set of teeth, and it's just amazing. So he was always at first, he couldn't eat properly when he was here. So he never ate properly at home. It was always liquid foods, couldn't eat properly. But now he's came in after getting this employment through FC Foundation, which they've extended the contract for him. So he completed the first 6 months and he's on to his second. Now he's able to get the correct dental treatment, which now he's just like a brand new person. He can't stop smiling, and he made my day. I couldn't believe when I see him. He just wouldn't stop smiling, and I said to Nathan, do you recognise anything different about Declan? He's just smiling straight away. It's just amazing to see. So, really great individual.
They are lovely case stories. Thank you for sharing. And it sounds like that young people that you're working with don't just get outcomes from this program, i.e. jobs or college places, but they build confidence and a support network and friendships as well, which is so important for the young people accessing Thrive. So it sounds like it's an all-round really positive experience for the young people that you've just described.
We had a point where we had someone come from Birkenhead, just over Birkenhead, and Declan and this person and another participant all walked this other person to the 17 bus. So they missed the 14 bus, which is right on our doorstep. They walked past that, they went further onto the 17 bus, just so they can all walk like together for a bit. These are three people that would never normally meet. Completely different personalities, different backgrounds, different interests, to now to the point where they've walked past them nearest bus stop. Declan lives in not too far. We had another participant who lived in Fazakerley, and then our last participant that lived in Birkenhead. So they're all travelling in different ways. They all could go much easier ways, but they chose to walk that extra like 5 minutes together just so they can have a chit chat on the way home. And every time we see, like, we'll nip out to go and get our lunch, and we'll sometimes see them on the way back and stuff, and it's just amazing to see just how they connect like friendships so quickly. So I think that's a highlight for us too, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Right, I'll just go on to the next one. So we just want to touch base on how sport and fitness overall can benefit your well-being. Obviously, when it comes to well-being, there's a lot of aspects, but more importantly, there's physical and mental well-being as well. So I just want to give you a few points of if you was to start participating in sport or considering industry employment in sport, how it can benefit you. So physically, it can improve your overall fitness, so your cardiovascular, lowers your risk of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, all illnesses along them lines. Helps you manage weight as well, which is quite a big thing. Obviously, lockdown hindered quite a lot of us. I know I put a little bit of lockdown weight on, but getting involved in sport and keeping yourself active as well can help you manage your weight, improve your aerobic endurance and fitness, reduce your blood pressure, improves your muscular strength and your joint and flexibility as well, but it also relieves a lot of stress for people. Now, stress is quite a big thing nowadays, but keeping yourself active and getting out there, whether it be by yourself or with another individual, it can help with stress, which does lead into the mental health well-being of sport and fitness. So sport is known to improve your mood, improve your concentration. Sorry, I'm going to speak there. It also helps with sleep habits, as well as maintaining a healthy weight, as I mentioned before. But especially, it boosts your self-confidence, in my opinion. I know as soon as I go into a football pitch, a basketball court, a tennis court, my confidence is high because I know I can participate in this sport, and I can only get better in the sport as well. So your confidence is quite high when you participate in a sport. It's also linked to leadership traits, which also links back to your self-confidence as well. And massively as well, a sense of routine. So a sense of routine is massive when it comes to your mental health. You need to know what you're going to be doing on this day so you can plan your day around it and make sure it's as positive as possible.
I think a little extra note as well in terms of sport for us in our programme. We found that certain people can only do a certain amount of time in the classroom, and it's became more apparent now we've added the English and maths in, especially more so the maths. So people with maths and focusing on numbers for a longer period of time can be a bit of a challenge. I know it was a bit of a challenge for me when I was in school. So if I could have had that break, I would have loved it. So what we've done with some of our participants here, we do a little bit of maths, so up to like 40 minutes, and then we'll break it up where we'll take them to go and do a bit of ping pong and how to see the mood change of sitting down focusing on maths to where they find it a bit difficult, but they're also getting the reward out of learning it, to then when they're in the sports or doing ping pong, badminton or something else, the mood just completely changes, and then they're all happy to go back into their classroom and to have another go doing the English and maths. Well, more so than maths than the English, but yeah, it's just that little bit of a break away from them stresses that Nathan was talking about before, and it just sort of breaks it all up that day. So that's how sport can benefit young people while on programme here. It's an opportunity to get away from that classroom environment, go and let your hair down, come back in and feel a bit more refreshed, energised and ready to go again. And it's something that we've had to do with one of our participants recently.
Yeah.
So we've had one of our participants who's in today, and we found that one of the best things for us to do is to break it up quite regularly for them. So have a little stab at doing the English and maths, and then have a little break of it, and then come back later on. And it's worked out much better. Or you can do the smaller chunks.
Yeah, and we all know how important that is. I mean, I think our learners understand it too. That level 1, level 2 English and maths becomes so important when you're applying for jobs. But if you can do it, like you say, in a fun, accessible way, which it sounds like your programme does perfectly, you couldn't ask for any more, really.
We tried to remove that barrier of keeping someone in the classroom for too long. We just want to be as far away as possible as being school or college. We've done it for like extended on that. We want to be as far away as that as possible. We want to be that opportunity where it's like you can have them one-to-one conversations outside if you need to, if sport's not your thing, or if you need to go on a little walk. We have enough members of staff now we can do that little walk around the facility, or we can do the sports. It's that opportunity what we can do now with the extra members of staff, myself, Nathan, and our manager Holly. So it's a nice little break for them, and it's a nice break for us as well, because we try and help out to the best we can. And sometimes there's some questions where I'm having to look at Nathan, and Nathan has to come over and help me out, or sometimes vice versa. So it helps us out a little bit as well.
Definitely. So I'll send you over kind of specific links to these. Now, obviously there's the stigma, or quite a lot of people only think if they want to look for a job at all, you go towards a website like Indeed. Now, Indeed is fantastic. However, if you want to go towards a career in sport specifically, there's some useful links on this slide now. So the Sport England. Now, you can this search engine you can navigate to suit your needs. So it can be regional area. It can be if you're willing to travel to Manchester, for example, because there may be a performance analysis role there. You can adjust these settings to suit you. So the Sport England. Now, Be More apprenticeships. As I mentioned before, there's quite a lot of apprenticeships in sport at the moment. Be More apprenticeships are a crucial website if you want to go towards the apprenticeship path. I don't think there's a much better one than that website right now. There's the majority of schools or any funding that comes up for apprenticeships more often than not do get put on that website. UK Sport. Now, UK Sport, like Sport England, is quite high up, so I'd use the search engine if you're going towards, like I said before, performance analysis. You want to work inside an academy, you want to work inside a club, for example. Whereas Liverpool City Council, like John said before, he was a sports coach for the City Council as well. They give sport jobs out there, as well as a lot of other jobs as well, but more often than not, they do sport jobs on that website. And then be specific as well is what I can say. So if you know you want to work for Liverpool Football Club, for example, do not be afraid to go directly onto their website and search for exactly what they have on offer at that moment. A lot of people think, I know my dream was to work for Liverpool. Now, fortunately enough, I got a placement there, but I didn't get the appointment there. That will happen, but don't be afraid to go directly to the employer to see what they have on offer, as well as using other search engines that can give you a wide variety. Make sure you do go directly to them. And your local sport foundations as well. There's a lot of opportunities like Liverpool Football Club Foundation, which are based around coaching, physical activity, sport development and stuff. Their foundation have a lot of opportunities available at the moment, as well as they are part of the Kickstart program as well, like Declan mentioned before. If you want to go into the support worker role, but you still want to be based around sport, that's excellent. You've also got the Everton Community College as well. They put you through, it's sort of based like a sixth form. So they put you through your level 2 and your level 3 sport quals, and you're based around that sport environment, as well as Tranmere Free School if they're willing to travel over the water. Them two are basically saying they just give you that opportunity to be in a football environment if you are football mad, and it gives you that opportunity to gain some qualifications and then potentially progress into university if you want to do that, whether you want to look directly for jobs afterwards if you're comfortable with your qualifications. And I'd say that's about it, to be honest.
I think the most important thing when applying for sports is take the opportunities, don't back away from any opportunities. No matter how big or little the hours are, you're going to have to build that experience up. Build up the experience while you're young, even if you're doing it later and you can only squeeze in maybe 2-3 hours a week, give it a go. Give it a go and build that portfolio up, build on your experience, and then when it comes in later years, you'll find that you're a lot more confident and you trade as a sports coach or someone in the sporting industry is a lot better than most, and just put in the hours when you can. I think that's the biggest bit of advice that I can think of. Just start wherever you can, even if it's just an hour a week, it's a start. Even if it's 2 hours, it's a better start, but just put the hours in while you can. And then when you get down the line and you do get a job with the council, they'll give you more hours, more regular hours, because you've been there, you've done it, you've experienced it, and you get all these better skills. Like participant management. So when people are just a little bit disruptive, you know how to nip it in the bud. And the same with in terms of how to progress and challenge and get them players who are at a better standard to reach higher standards, while also supporting those with lower ability. But you only get that through experience and putting yourself out there, really.
Yeah.
That is great advice. You've taken my last question and answered it already, which is brilliant. In terms of, what I was going to say was, if you could give any advice to a young person who wants to build a career in sport, what one piece of advice would you give? But you've answered it in terms of take the experience where you can, build that CV up. Nathan, would you give any, if you had to give one piece of advice to our young people, what would that be?
I'd say, like I touched upon before, when you're getting started in sport, especially sports coaching or sport development, or not so much, mainly sports coaching if you want to go down that route, take opportunity, like every opportunity that you can. But as well, there may be times where it doesn't work for you. One role may not work for you, so you have to switch it up and go towards another branch of the sports industry. I know I went from wanting to be a PE teacher to want to be a performance analysis, and now I'm being a sports coach, working in the community. There will be times where you may get knocked down, your confidence may be knocked. Do not let that confidence drop. There's so many opportunities out there that one will come around the corner for you. So do not let yourself get down. Keep working on the craft of sport and just commit yourself to it, as well as, like John said before, every opportunity that you get, just take it, whether it works or not, it doesn't matter. It's just you've got that experience under your wing then.
Lovely, that's great advice and a really positive note to end on. So firstly, I want to say thank you very much for your time. It's been really interesting to learn a bit more about opportunities at Street League, but also general advice for young people who are interested in a career in sport. In terms of next steps, what I'd like to do is share this far and wide. So share this on our YouTube